You're running full speed, but the markets are faster. Quasar Markets Live brings the world's top financial minds to you. Everything you need to know in one place. Learn from elite educators and gain a competitive edge, leveling the playing field for you. Join the conversation. Quasar Markets Live.
Good morning, Quasar Markets Live. It is Monday morning, and the markets are waking up cranky from what I can see so far. Dow's getting ready to open up down almost a 0.5 percentage point here, down about 47 basis points. You know, most of the news still really firmly entrenched on the tariff talk. We'll get more sort of updates today. We'll see what we hear. You know, Europe is a little bit in disarray here. Good morning, Zora. You are up very early this morning. But, you know, markets definitely not liking what they've seen over the weekend. S&P down about 42 basis points also here this morning, and tech getting hit even a little bit harder, down about 58 basis points, you know, this morning with an hour or so before the open. And we had been sort of moving up, but now not really quite as much. We had seen an upward move most of the morning if we look at it on the hourly chart here, but now we're sort of pulling back. We'll see what we get here today once the markets open. There are some earnings we'll see today. Not really a huge amount of economic data that's going to hit. We do have some Fed talk. We've already had Fed Waller speaking, and he said that inflation and tariffs aren't the concern. It's going to be all about labor reports. So I guess PCE doesn't matter now if it doesn't go the way they want it to. So again, they're moving the goalposts on us as we're trying to kick a field goal here, it seems like. Good morning, everybody. Brian, hope all is well so far. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. From Maryland. I lived in Silver Spring for a long time, Brian, so very familiar. Hope you're holding up in that snow there. So when we start to look at risk on, risk off, again, 3 indices are showing us a little bit of risk off for sure to start here this morning. Same thing if we take a look at the volatility index back above 20 tells us a little bit of risk off here so far this morning. But what does move in our favor is the rates. 10-year down at 4.06, not at the lows of last week, but headed back that way. It looks like same thing, 30-year down about 38 basis points. So that should help us. And the dollar also down a little bit as well, down about 13 basis points, but towards the highs of the morning. Mr. Flanagan, yeah, I'm sure you are glad not to be in New York anymore today. We got a little touch in the snow here in the Midwest. Not too bad, but yet the Northeast is looking like it's going to be snowed in. That is the second part of the news, basically, that we've got. It's been tariffs and snow is all I've seen covered so far this morning. And hedges in metal are moving back up. Gold not only back above 5,000, but 51.50 here. Nice move to the upside, up another 84 basis points. And silver back above 85, 86.33, up 2% here today. With that being said, oil is now moving up also. This is a change from earlier today. So again, some of those tensions in the Middle East still not, firmly put to rest. So that has oil moving up again, 66.45 for WTI, Brent 71. So that should have energy stocks moving to the upside. Obviously, gold and silver moving up should have the metal and silver mining stocks moving to the upside also. What's moving to the downside again, although it actually to the upside over the last 12 hours, has been Bitcoin and Ethereum. Both of them wiped out pretty hard overnight, held up throughout most of the weekend. Then as the futures markets opened last night, we saw a pretty big flush down. Nice recovery back above the key resistance or key support we were watching. So as long as it can hold 66,250 or so here on Bitcoin, as long as Ethereum holds 1,900, it's fairly positive on the recovery part. But, again, we'll have to see what outflows look like inflows or outflows on the crypto ETFs to get a better read here this morning. But definitely they're under pressure. And as we can imagine, I'm sure the crypto names are also getting hit on the stock side. When we look overseas, man, China keeps getting stronger. Hong Kong, Hang Seng index up about 2.5% today. And again, what does that mean? As we start to look through individual names, I'd expect to see names like Alibaba, JD, Bilibili, some of those probably moving to the upside also. Europe getting hit pretty hard, down about 20 basis points also, along with the Nikkei down slightly overnight in trading. So a mixed bag, not faring very well so far for what we see. But, again, everything matters what happens when the cash open comes, and we see what happens at 9:30. So far, advanced decline, negative about 1,000. So it's pretty decent breadth of the pullback so far this morning across a lot of the different sectors. And if we take a look at the sectors of the S&P so far, XLV looks to be the only one, healthcare, the only one moving up. And a lot of that, I'll look further into it. But again, Eli Lilly got some pretty good news. And it wasn't so much that they had good news, but bad news by their competition. Novo Nordisk had them moving up nicely so far this morning. Otherwise, all the other sectors are so far in the red. We can see that energy, like I said, almost even at only down 4 basis points. Same thing with real estate, pretty close. Nothing's down more than 1%. So this is a market that could quickly shift momentum here. We'll see what we get, like we said, when we open there. Mag 7 in general, outside of NVIDIA and Google, are moving to the downside. NVIDIA does have earnings coming up on Wednesday. That's one of the big macro drivers we'll see this week. They're up about 0.5 percentage point today. They were up about a percentage point on Friday, so they're moving to the upside. And as I mentioned, Google up about 0.5 percentage point after seeing a strong growth on Friday there. The rest of the Mag 7 is in the red so far. Taking a look at what is the pre-market, gainers and laggards. Laggards, we got a big talk about the cost of cardboard, paper, and packaging is a big issue today. IP, which is International Paper Company, SW, which is Smurfit Westrock, both down. They're the biggest laggard so far this morning, as the cost of paper has moved way down, and that has that moving to the downside so far. Beta names like AppLovin were down also, LUNR. Lunar. CoreWeave's under pressure today after questions came about in regards to their Lancaster, Pennsylvania data center. Blue Owl was expected to provide a few $1,000 or a few $1 billion, excuse me, in funding there, and now that is at risk. So those names are down. A lot of the crypto adjacent names, Galaxy Digital down about 3%, TerraWolf down 2.88, Riot down 2.68, CleanSpark, MicroStrategy, SharpLink. So a lot of those are down today. The other, beta names like FLY, LUNR, all those are getting hit pretty hard today also. So those tend to be the biggest laggards. On the gainers, Domino's Pizza, which I don't know if their earnings have been released. Yep, their earnings have been released, so I'll try to pull up some info on that. Give me 1 second here. See if they've got any news here that I can find on that. Not seeing anything yet. Let me try here. Don't see any news on it, but they are up about 5.68%. It looks like they had a top line revenue beat, but an EPS miss. And again, Domino's Pizza up 5.68. I did mention that I had gotten Domino's Pizza, and actually was pretty good the other day. I was a little surprised by how decent it actually was. Mentioned in the open there, and Novo Nordisk under a lot of pressure today. They are down about 15%. This was after their announcement that their obesity treatment, CagriSema, is not having the same potential that we've seen over Eli Lilly's product there, Zepatide. So it's definitely they're under a lot of pressure, down about 15%. So again, they had actually been moving up after earnings on some decent news. Now moving back to the downside. They're one of the stocks that over the last couple of years has not been able to get out of its own way. On the other side of that, Eli Lilly back over 1,000 at 1,044 this morning, up about 3.42% on that news. All the airlines are getting hit here this morning with the weather, as you can imagine. United down about 1.78%. American Airlines getting hit also, down about 1.25%. And then whoops, hit the wrong one there. JetBlue down about 60 basis points here after most of these were forced to cancel flights all across the U.S. due to the massive snowstorm, as Mr. Flanagan pointed out, that's hitting the Northeast region. Hit D.C. and Philly overnight, battering New York still right now, on its way to Boston, leaving as much as 20 inches of snow in its wake. So that definitely is weighing on the market so far today. I did also want to bring up Paramount was having a pretty good day today, as the new bids are due in today. So we'll see what happens there. In case you missed it, it's the deadline that Warner gave Paramount when it restarted the merger talks last week. They said they'd give CBS owner until February 23rd to make its best and final offer. So we'll see what happens there. The president did get involved a little bit over the weekend, wading in and saying Netflix would face some consequences if it did not move former Obama and Biden administration official Susan Rice from their board. So we'll see which way that this goes over the next day or two. Netflix is down about 72 basis points here, moving into that news also. So we'll see which way it goes here. Prediction markets are giving Netflix a slight edge there. They have PREMARKET has it priced in, or the contracts are priced in with Netflix at about a 49 chance of closing the Warner acquisition, with 37% for Paramount. So that is what we're seeing on the prediction markets on it. Doesn't mean that's the way it goes, but that's what they are showing so far. Trying to see if anything else is popping. Not really here. Taking a look at the other stocks that are moving up so far this morning. Mentioned a few. The mining names are moving up. So you have Sierra, Charlie, Zulu, Mike, Santa Cruz Silver, Highcroft Mining, HYMC, Sigma Lithium, SGML, all moving up here this morning nicely. Also said Chinese names would probably be hot. A few of them are here. PDD, parent company of TikTok, up about 2.84%. CHA, Chaggy Holdings, up about 2.13%. So some of those Chinese names are the winners so far this morning. Lee up also about 1.2%. Penn Entertainment, so some gambling names up. Penn Entertainment up about 2.46%. Coin continues its move to the upside. GLW up another 1.93%. Some defensive names. Smuckers is up 1.92. I believe they might have been going into earnings today. No, they've got earnings later this week. So we'll see what comes from them. We are about 10 minutes from the top of the hour so far. Sorry, just trying to see what else is moving here or not moving this morning. You see a little bounce back by BlackRock. So those companies maybe that was under pressure, BlackRock, Apollo. Could be getting a little bit of a move back to the upside here today. So no, not a bounce back by Apollo. So that's just BlackRock there. We'll see what that comes out of that. Let's see what else I had for us on the news side here to keep an eye on so far. Other news I was watching, Fed Waller came out, mentioned that January's job number is the big thing to keep an eye on here. We've talked about NVIDIA's earnings already. Not really a whole bunch going on otherwise this morning. Like I said, most of the talk has been really on the weather here across the U.S. And what's going on there. And tariffs is the major story. There isn't a bunch there going on otherwise that I'm keeping an eye on this morning. VIX is at $20.28, so not really moving too far right now this morning. Market seems to be in a wait and see as we get ready for the open. I don't really see a lot that's pumping one way or the other right now. Things tend to be looking like they were just in a wait situation. NVIDIA seeing the most strength across the Mag 7. Google holding some decent strength also. So leading into earnings, it looks like NVIDIA wants to take the chips to the upside. Let's see if that has the rest of the chip sector moving today. No, that's the only chip moving up. So all the other chips are not moving up. In fact, a lot of them down more than a percentage point here. TSM down about 1.03%. AMD down more than 1%. ARM down more than 1%. Micron down. Intel down. So yeah, again, most of the chip names not having a good start to the day so far. Let's see if there's any movement across the different sectors. We do see, as I mentioned, energy is the one that looks like it could catch a bid. Those would be the names I'd be watching if WTI and Brent are going to continue to move to the upside. The energy names will have some room to run. Mining names we talked about are also going to be hotter today. As we move, technology outside of NVIDIA seems to be under pressure. Let's take a look at some of the bigger software names here. What's Palantir doing today? Down about 1.7%. What about Oracle? Also down about 1.2%. So software again seems to be under pressure here without a doubt. Let's take a look at the memory sector. So we do see Seagate down about 1%. What about Western Digital? Also down about 88. So we do see storage and memory seem to still be under pressure also. SanDisk is the one that is different than that. SanDisk is up about 1.5%. They were up about 4.5% on Friday. So they seem to be separating themselves in the memory area, similarly to the way that we see NVIDIA separating themselves over on the chip sector. So we definitely are seeing some that are bucking the trend here. Let's take a look at the banks so far, see what's going on with financials today. JP Morgan's down about 60 basis points here. More news this weekend about the lawsuit between them and the president. Jamie Dimon actually came out and said, yeah, we did actually debank them, but that's the rules that we have to follow because of the January 6th situation. They put our deposits at risk, and we're not allowed to have that. So was interesting. Did hear some comments on CNBC earlier today there. Bank of America down about 64 basis points also here. So it does look like financials are a little weak today. Wells Fargo also down about 0.5 percentage point. Let's take a look at Visa. Same thing, down about 70 basis points. Take a look at some of the fintech names out there. They're getting hit. PayPal down almost a point here. Let's see about Robinhood. Down almost 2%. Coinbase, if I had to imagine, getting hit also. Down 2%. Let's take a look at some of the gas and oil names that were doing pretty well last time. Occidental up about 42 basis points. They had strong earnings last week, gapped up to the upside, still moving to the upside here. Up another percentage point between Friday and today's pre-market. Chevron also up about 36 basis points here today. So the gas name's getting a little bit of love. Solar names, Enphase getting hit a little bit here. Trying to see if anything else is hitting. Another one I saw this weekend is, I don't know if everyone saw that TSA PreCheck got suspended, and now DHS has reinstated it. So for those that don't know, TSA reversed course this weekend and on Sunday said that PreCheck airport screening lanes will be operational about face hours after DHS had said that the faster security checkpoints would be paused amid the partial government shutdown. So did see that one, more of just didn't know that was going on, but definitely one there. And as I said, we're going to be watching today to see what comes out of tariffs. Do we get any more clarity here? And what moves from that? That is the big thing to keep an eye on so far. Yeah, that's all the big stories that everyone's covering. Same thing. We do have Home Depot. I want to mention that. One of the defensive names out there on earnings tomorrow, I believe. Yeah, earnings tomorrow. They are down about 33 basis points, and you can see off of their highs of about 400, trading at 382 so far. We also will have Workday's earnings this week, Lucid this week, Kava, AMC, all on Tuesday. We do have State of the Union also coming up Tuesday evening. Wednesdays, we'll get Lowe's earnings. We'll get TJ Maxx before the bell, NVIDIA, Salesforce, and Snowflake's earnings after the bell, along, like I said, with Paramount Skydance. So that should be an interesting one to watch. Thursday, you have Block, Dell, and CoreWeave. So some of those bigger tech names. And then Saturday of all days is Berkshire Hathaway, the first earnings report without Mr. Buffett in charge. So we'll see how they play out. I haven't been really watching here. So down under 500, hasn't really moved all that much here. You know, most of December and such, it's been trading around, since December, it's been trading in this area. So not really a big move to the downside one way or the other headed into their earnings. Bitcoin looking weak here, back at 66,100, needs to hold up here. Otherwise, you've got definite downside towards that 62,850 area on any more weakness. We also haven't mentioned, you know, a lot of problems down in Mexico over the weekend after authorities killed the Mexican cartel leader. I don't remember his name offhand, but he was killed. And after that, they have struck back, especially in Puerto Vallarta, taken over and actually stopping all flights out of the country, or out of that airport, I should say, and a lot of craziness going down there. So hopefully they can get that straightened away here today also. So a lot of things to watch here. We are about a half hour from the open. I see BigBeat getting ready to come in here. We will get him in a matter of seconds. Let's get his intro
When
going.
markets move, Stephen E. Orr takes the chair. From the White House to Wall Street, he's spent decades at the intersection of policy, markets, and real capital. And he's seen firsthand how institutions use data behind closed doors. Now, as founder of Quasar Markets, his mission is to pull those signals into the open so everyone can see what really moves the markets. This is Stephen E. Orr, BigBeat on Wall Street. Let's filter the future live.
BigBeat, how are you doing this Monday morning, my friend?
Good morning, Howard. Another quiet morning, I think. It's going to be a little bit bumpy, obviously, but, you know, I'm just not, it's not a big deal. I think we're still waiting on some news, right? Tariffs obviously was an issue. More issues in Iran, obviously snowstorm in the north. That will slow down a lot of trading out of New York, as a lot of traders aren't even going into the office today.
Yeah.
So I don't seem, look, I get there's a little bit of selling here, but it's mostly just catching up from over Friday's buying. You know, over the weekend, I picked up Chainlink. I thought that was a nice little dip. The selling there was silly, and right back up we go. The narrative about selling right now, it's overdone. It's like it's overdone to the upside. Now we're overdone to the downside. Now the path of least resistance is not the downside anymore. Now the path of least resistance is the upside, because so many people have sold. Okay, well, you're sitting on the sideline. Now there's $8.5 trillion in the sideline. They're waiting on something. The approval rating of the president is Nixonian level now. Over the weekend, I had long chats with politics, with people in Washington, D.C. Nobody thinks that Washington, that quite frankly, no one thinks that the House is going to stay Republican. Not even Republicans in D.C. now at this point. And now they're concerned about keeping the Senate. So, you know, I've heard that we had a very successful Friday media day, 1 million people. Thank you so much. the same thing, right? They're also the same thing that they're hoping to keep. The Republicans are hoping to keep the Senate. They're concerned too as well. But when you look at that, Howard, a split Congress, a split government is very popular and very important to an upside, because that means really pretty much nothing's going to get done. None of the right-wing nonsense, the left-wing nonsense will get done. It means they actually have to come together and make some real common sense decisions. So I think people are waiting on that for November. I think people are waiting on the Fed. The Fed's now saying, Waller this morning just said, yeah, look, the new data is now saying that jobs are lost. You think? Wow, okay, buddy. And I love Chris Waller. He's from St. Louis area. Yeah, St. Louis. But I mean, that's where the market's at, and I think people are nervous and they don't really care.
Bless you, my friend.
Thank you. James is asking about NVO here, I think. Yeah. Yeah,
he is. I mean, down 15% after their drug did not do as well as Eli Lilly's. This is one of those ones that they just can't get out of their own way. It's tough to back a truck up for me. Because I've thought about doing it 3 other times, and every time it starts to go up, they run into another problem. So
let's be honest. I know Novo Nordisk. I know Eli Lilly. I use Eli Lilly's product, and I can tell you it's Eli Lilly. And when we told you not to invest in hims and hers, we don't tell you what they actually do, but we explain it why. Our thesis behind it was that they were stealing the idea. Novo Nordisk was not the first. Eli Lilly, and they perfected it. It's kind of a lot like Valium and all the drugs that it came up with an idea and actually ended up with something different, right? This was a heart medicine that ended up being a medicine for weight loss, right? And we know another heart medicine that ended up being for erectile dysfunction. So, a lot of times drugs don't always make it because of what they are, but they see the other effects, right? And in Novo Nordisk, they just try to copy and paste, and you can't do that, right? That's why it's expensive to build drugs. So I did not like Novo Nordisk here. I still love Eli Lilly. I think Eli Lilly continues to push higher. There you go. We now see Eli Lilly FDA approved label expansion for Zepbound tirzepatide, as I take, to include 4-dose single patient use now. QuickPen. Wow, there you go. That's really good. They will start that at now $299. Well, I'll start posting it. The news is coming out now pretty fast and furious as we talk about this. Isn't this crazy? Yeah, they can now access all of it in multi-dose QuickPens or single-dose vial. Wow, this is good. Yeah. Wow, this is pretty fast in here. Yep. So hopefully that helps you a little bit there, folks. Sorry there. I should have posted it in the chat. Put in the chat room there. No, I still don't like him. I still don't like Novo Nordisk. I think they need to get their act together over there. I've said this many, many times. Now, and I will say this much. $40 on Novo Nordisk is getting interesting, right? If you look at it from the perspective of the daily chart, to me, you can see what I'm seeing is that it's now getting to where the buyers are. But if you pull up a weekly chart, that's really telling you where the buyers really are, and that the buyers should be around 39.82, somewhere around 46.73. So you're starting to get into a much bigger level of support when it wasn't about tirzepatide, right? When it wasn't about and look, I've said this a million times that it's not even going to be about the shots. The shots are great because I understand that I don't like taking shots all the time, but it's a pill. It's one that gets in the pill form. That's when we're going to start this, and everybody's going to take it like a vitamin, right? Right now, I think it's $300 now per month. That's pretty cheap compared to where it was. I mean, it was $1,500 a month. Now we're down, and you can take the multi-dose QuickPens now. Wow, that's impressive. So for Eli Lilly, so well done, Eli Lilly. But I just think it's probably going to continue to push on up.
Absolutely. Steve, we got the State of the Union tomorrow night. We have tariffs.
State of the Union bad. I can help you out, President. And listen, you're hearing reports that members of Congress are not even going to show up for that has never happened, right? Just to not show up. That has never happened. I don't know, is that politics in general? Maybe, but even Nixon got people to show up even when he was under investigation. So I don't know. This is pretty bad. Yeah.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. Well, let's turn to good news. How did you watch the Olympics yesterday? What did you
I
think?
did. I got up at 7:30 this
So did
morning
I.
to
Yeah,
watch
I
the
went.
gold medal. I knew we were going to win, but it was closer than I thought. And Canada really came out. And now I'll tell you, I did not like the 3-on-3 in the overtime. That did not make any sense to me. That is not hockey. Hockey is when
No, it isn't. But hey, listen, we lost it 4-4 when Crosby hit, his golden goal, the famous one. So, you play the hand dealt to you, like you always said. So that's what they did. Congratulations to the U.S. team. Great. Yeah, they were outplayed for a lot of that game.
Both of them. They both won, women and men, right? So,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, the women I sort of expected. And Hullabuck, what a great producer from there, from your St. Louis.
We just won the most medals and the most goals we've ever won in a Winter Olympics. So
Winter Olympics, yeah. Well, you almost didn't hear much about it.
How about Comcast, CMCSA? I mean, it was the biggest watched Olympics, I think, in history. And here comes LA in 2028 in 2 years, and it might be. I'm going to go. It might be even some of the biggest ever watched Olympics in history. So I mean, look. I thought Snoop Dogg. I mean, I don't really understand the whole thing, but he made it very fun for a lot of people.
They've done that, and like they did it with Leslie Jones, and they've done a pretty good job of that, bringing someone that humanizes it, that makes it fun, makes it interesting. I thought coverage was great. And it's interesting. We're getting good at some of the sports we never could even participate in, so to speak. I mean, curling, we've got some talent. Bobsled, we've got talent. Cross-country skiing, we've got talent. So,
things that Canada are better at the United States, hockey. And then I saw the shirt with the guy marked out hockey on it.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd go there yet, but yeah. But it was fun to watch. Like I said, I think it got people excited. Steve, airline, is today a day to buy the airlines when they're all down just because of the weather delays? I mean, I don't quite get why that affects their stock price. I mean, I get it, but
there's a few things going on, not just weather, but I think Mexico is affecting airlines. Every airport in Mexico is closed, and Mexico is a destination. I got several emails because I do go to Mexico quite a bit. I've been to Cancun, Puerto Vallarta, obviously Cozumel, that on the east and west side of it. And I'll tell you, I got lots of emails saying, hey, we're not affected by all of this. All right. Mazatlan and Manzanillo on the west coast. I have several emails saying,
I'm not taking that chance. I don't know about you.
I'm going to do it. I'm not scared. They don't, look, what are they gonna do to me? They're gonna be like hang out and party with me,
hold you hostage, kill you. I don't know, Steve.
They'll probably hang out. I'll be like the ransom of Red Chief
hotel. I mean, I don't know.
They'll probably take me out partying. I'll be like the ransom of Red Chief. Like, let's let this guy go, dude. It's too much fun, right? I'm not too scared about it. Look, they're going about this the wrong way. This heavy-handedness is just not working. They're not learning anything from the United States. They're not learning. I mean, we pulled everybody out of Minnesota, right? You pulled everybody. It doesn't work. You have to work. You have to be community oriented, right? You can't militaristically go in and just try to destroy things. I understand it's drugs. I get it. I understand it's a cartel. Take them down. Okay, but did you not think this through? I mean,
you gotta have a plan. You can't just.
There was no plan to this one, right?
Yeah, it didn't seem like there was a plan. Like, shouldn't you have expected there to be blow up? They have their own army that's as big as yours.
Bigger. I'd say it's bigger.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, and probably better equipped, so better trained. So that does make it a problem there. Steve, how long do you think it takes till we start to get some clarity on tariffs, or is it something we're not going to get clarity on for weeks? Is this something we should expect as an overhang for days, months, weeks? What do we think? Because I don't have a good sense on it. I mean, I can't figure out where
I don't really care. To be honest with you, I don't care. If the narrative around the markets is tariffs, we have a problem, right? The narrative should be just sell product, right? I mean, make money. If you make a good product, people don't care what it costs. Just ask Apple, right? The margins are still higher, and if you make a good product, then people will buy it, and then they don't care about the 10-15%. Use it. Weaponizing tariffs doesn't matter what country you are and what civilization and in what century. It never worked. It never has worked, and it won't work. And now we know, and it's illegal. And now we know it's illegal, and it got beaten up in the Supreme Court, 6-3. You can't just do these things. We have laws. Sorry, but there's a thing called the law. I mean, You say you love the Constitution. Well, it's pretty clear. And you saw that, right? And so, no, I don't really think I care much. Take a pill, chill out, relax. Let's get back to work. Let's make some money. Let's sell some product.
Well, then is Nvidia's earnings? Is that your biggest? What's your biggest catalyst for the week then?
I think you're right. Probably the earnings. Now that the black period for the Fed is now off. We're going to hear a lot of talk from them. Expect that. But no, I'm not too worried about it. In fact, I'm kind of excited. I think this could be one of these buying opportunities. I've heard from several, over on Friday and the last week. The one question I asked: will we be up from here on the S&P, the SPOOs, to come summertime? Will we up or down? And have said down and have said up. I mean, they don't even know. These are top professionals.
Yeah,
right?
no, I know. I'm hearing a lot down before up, which is sort of a cop-out, meaning I don't really know, so I'm going to cover both sides, because if it goes down for a day, then I'll say it went down for a day, and then when it goes up, And, for me, I think more than NVIDIA, I'm actually want to see what these software companies, we've got Snowflake, Salesforce, Workday, can they balance the ships, or is it the last rat on that boat is going down with it right now? That's my question, I guess. Software has been under pressure. I'm looking at it from a contrarian. I think it's going to be tough for NVIDIA to get anybody too excited, because I think they've already hyped everything you can hype. What more can they say? They've got years of backlog. Everybody wants their units, and they're partnered with everybody. Okay. I mean, you're not going to really do much more than that. Whereas all of these software companies have been beaten to within an inch of their lives. They're all down on one knee, taking a 10 count. Do they?
I'm not gonna lie, but I mean, I've got a section of one of my screens. I have like 17 screens, but one of my screens is nothing but AI, right? And I have Perplexity, I have Claude, Suno, Grok, and Opus for clips, all in one page, right? I don't really need a marketing company, right? I mean, people talked about the other day, like I got 1 million views without needing a huge marketing firm, right? And that's what's happening. And yeah, some of these software companies are in trouble, right? And I'm going to tell you, out of those, some of these are going to start to get a little tighter and tighter. I watched that Perplexity AI talking about how finance is going to remove all the people off Wall Street. No, it's not. It didn't happen when the internet happened. It's going to make them smarter and more efficient, but it isn't going to remove people, folks. So stop that. I'm the one that started all this. So just so everybody knows, right? Before anybody got excited about AI and finance, it was me 15 years ago, right? So when I talk about the next level of all of this, they're just catching up. We're talking about Web3. I'm not even talking about Web3 anymore. I mean, that Web3 was last year. Right now, I'm talking about the next version of how finance is going to work, especially with quasi markets. I'm looking at this now going, man, where are these people? All of a sudden, now they're catching up. They didn't like it. Same thing with Bitcoin. Oh, the Bitcoin, the rails. Guess what? More Bitcoins running through the rails now than it did last year and 6 months ago and 3 months ago. More money is running through the rails. Don't think for 1 second JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs isn't buying up Bitcoin, right? Or isn't doing the AI. They're part of it too, right? That's what I'm saying to people. But it's not going to change. It's not going to make people go, ooh, oh my God, I'm going to get rid of these companies. Things are going to happen. No, it's not going to happen that way. We're just going to flip the script a little bit. We're going to change, and we need to be ready for that. And we have been. And I'll tell you, the president's done a very good job of thinking that he's going to change us back to manufacturing. I like that side of it. We're going to start manufacturing again. But what are we going to manufacture? Cars that are built in 1985 or cars that are built for the future? So you want to build new cars, build EV on them. Oh, no. Energy. Yes, we're running out of energy. Just ask Microsoft. We just spent $1 billion for nuclear. You're going to put nuclear power in your car? Yeah, actually, maybe. There are new machines now that are working on that right now. Oh, yes, there are. Right. So I like all the stuff that's going on. I really do. I think the future is bright, and I'm investing in the future. I'm not. People forget this about the markets, Howard. That the markets isn't about today. Oh, a news piece came out, so I'm going to sell all my stock because that's happening. Well, that's not why we invest. We invest because the mispricing of pricing, and the mispricing of pricing is saying ooh, well, crypto's dead. I've heard, how many times have we heard that, Howard? Crypto's dead. I've heard
Absolutely.
that
Absolutely.
2013, and it ain't dead.
Hey, I see Mr. Flanagan's in. We got to get him in here
man.
right away. Get him in here because I do have to run. Everybody, get after it, you guys, and I'll be watching.
Morning, guys.
Hey, what's up? Welcome back from your vacation from the and you seem to have you've had a chance to see what's going on in the world. You and I have both had a chance over the last week or two and see how people are feeling. Talk to me, Steve. How do you feel people are feeling right now?
Confused.
Yeah.
You know, this tariff thing, it leaves a lot of uncertainty in the marketplace. And, you know, there couldn't be a more negative ingredient to place into the markets than uncertainty. And right now, you know, do the previous trade deals still get honored? How is Europe going to react? Because Europe is in that, you know, defiant mode right now. And I believe I saw a comment already today, a trade deal is a trade deal. And, you know, here he is writing the tariffs to 15%. I think that this is going to be the pinnacle that Trump will be evaluated on in history. How does he respond? And the evidence will be apparent to us all tomorrow evening at the State of the Union as to how defiant he comes on. And I think that this will be the mark that marks his legacy. And I also think it's going to have a lot to do with, you know, this next month, because I believe once we get through April, and I'll expand on that later, that, you know, everything is going to take off. But for the next 30 days, uncertainty prevails. And in uncertain times, negative headlines are going to continue to push us down.
Shine Mom from Mexico just says Mexico is at peace.
Well, that's that's a tough one to explain. I get it. In the region that they attacked, the drug lord, this is a relatively new, I don't know what you call them, gang or whatever, but they are very violent. This is, you know, not a cartel that has been, you know, embedding itself. This is a very violent cartel.
Yeah.
And they are at war with them. I guess if she says they're at peace, is that trade related? I believe the United States probably helped out in what they did. I don't know, Steve. I would say it's another destabilizing factor to the present environment. And you could even throw a snowstorm in that. I mean, this is a snowstorm that hasn't been seen in a long time.
30 years, what they're saying, yeah.
Pictures I'm getting from New York, you know, the snow is, you know, well over the, yeah, exactly. You know, it's beginning to get to thigh level, and on top of snow that they've had for the last 5 weeks.
Yeah.
No transportation, you know.
And so I think what you're trying to say is you don't miss the New York weather.
Steve, I don't miss it at all.
Thank you. I haven't missed it for 30 years. So I'm with you, man. I agree with you.
Another uncertainty to this marketplace right now. I don't know. The negatives are piling up pretty, you know, large.
And
right
yet the market is still resilient. This is exactly what I've been saying. You're absolutely right, Steve. Even with all of this nonsense, if you had said this 5, 10 years ago, all of the negativity that we have today, the market wouldn't be buy the dip mentality. So what has changed now than I mean, I had the CNBC royalty on last, and here what they kept saying. They kept saying, interestingly enough, because there's so much money in the sideline, but this buy the dip mentality that we have stayed irrational probably longer than ever before in history. What is the difference now that is keeping the market up than it has been in the past?
Well, one is the big thing you mentioned, the money on the sidelines. Two, you've thrown the kitchen sink at the marketplace.
Yeah, that's true.
And you're looking around, what else can I throw into the market? But another factor, Steve, is that the marketplace today is dominated by computerized model trading. And in that regard, we've touched on this last week. I picked up from the conference these brand new AI social media sentiment models. There is one degree that a computer model cannot, when people say, is the machinery going to take over? Well, machinery has yet to conquer sentiment.
Psychology, right.
Emotions, right.
Right.
But these brand new AI social media, they're tapping into the world that humans exist in, where you go online to any one of these Substacks, Reddits, whatever, and you can see everybody, this is going to collapse today. If this company doesn't do this is, and it picks up on that. And it has now become factored into models as the human intuitiveness, emotional part. And I did an experiment over the weekend. I popped into one of the major news wires, and I said, okay, take 10 headlines. 9 of 10 were negative. 9 of 10, I scored a negative sentiment. And most of those, I did it on a 0 to 10 basis, and most of those were scored negative at a score of 7 or above. Now, if I was a computer and I had 9 out of 10, I'd be saying right now, negative sentiment, I want to sell, 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 sell. Now, hedge funds who are very high tech,
yeah,
and only care about one thing, and that is making money. I believe that this is a new invention, a new model, and I'm quite concerned as a risk manager in my profession. I'm quite concerned that these are unchecked and could put us to a level that creates a downturn move where everybody suddenly has to react. So I'm a little worried that the sentiment right now, I don't know what the spark is, Steve, as you say.
Yeah.
What markets are being very resilient. Yes, they are. And I think when we look out the forward window, the windshield, we see a lot of positives in the pipeline. And that's why we want to be buying. But I don't rule out one of these sharp, sell-offs again in the March trading zone.
Okay, if that's the case, I mean, we can start pulling some charts up here in a little bit. What is that you really need to see? You're saying that everything's negative, so you're saying you need to see positive news coming out in order to change the sentiment here, the thought process behind all this?
I basically need to see a culmination of the negatives. Now,
okay. Meaning a combination of the news articles that are coming out, because I can make that happen for you. I got 54 AI sitting on my screens right now. What do you need for me to do? Right? I could set that's one of the cool things I want to be able to do, right? Is to help understand that. So this is awesome, Steve. So right here, right now, what is it as a professional 45 years doing this? What is it that I can help you as a professional? What can I give you to make that clear to you?
What a great idea, Steve. Develop an in-house sentiment market, social media sentiment indicator. What a great idea.
So if I were to add social media, I got that done. But you're saying add news, social media, and get a complete sentiment, right?
A sentiment indicator and score it. Sentiment right now is running on a scale of 0 to 10. 5 is kind of a neutral. So below 5 maybe is positive, above 5 is negative.
So you would say score the whole market, score what people are, how people are feeling is what you're saying, as opposed
That's
to
exactly right.
a sentiment score for just each stock, because we've done that. That's easy. I mean, you might do that. I can do that in 2 seconds with AI. But what I want to know, I think that's what you're trying to say, is you want to understand the overall psychology. Do you want to separate it by geopolitical, like school, like countries, or like by demographics? So 30 to 35 male, they're not happy. 20 to 25 females, they're very happy.
No, I'd go simple, Steve. I'd go
simple.
Overwhelming market sentiment. And the interesting thing is,
that's easy.
We've highlighted this in several of our talks, Steve. Where is a lot of this activity happening? It's in pre-market, post-market trading. And this is where these hedge funds dominate. So by the time the market opens in a few minutes, the sentiment has already been embedded. Or the
what we're seeing in the pre-market is that usually the first, and I mean, I almost always the last few months, that whatever the very, very first move was on the cash market open is usually the opposite of what happens that day. So right now we're seeing I'd say a fairly negative bias to the downside. Not much. I mean, right now I'm buying CoreWeave, I'm buying more Hood, and I bought more IBM here on this dip. I like CoreWeave on this dip. I think we're going to push up here in the morning here.
Okay, well, I would say, from just looking at headlines and the uncertainty, today's going to be a difficult one, because New York is really how much is going to be in the marketplace. I mean, they closed transportation. So, but I would expect to see today, if it does rally at the open, I would expect that to get hit hard.
And you're already seeing CoreWeave popping. I guess what I just said that 2 seconds ago, CoreWeave just busted up for $1 here. So I'll be careful. We don't talk about here what to buy or sell here. Just so everyone understands, careful there. But I did see a pop here, and just want to make sure that everybody's not just buying because I'm saying buy and sell. All right, we don't do that here. But it did bust up for $1 here. I am going to turn on as it's got 30 seconds now. I'm going to turn on the screens here. We keep on going, Steve. I love this. We're crushing this. See, did you know we got 1 million views on Friday?
Wow, that's incredible. Congrats, Steve, because this has been your baby, your dream. Congrats on that.
Thank you, Sarah. Our dream, right? We're all in this together.
Yep.
And one of the things that I was talking to Ron and Sana about, he's going to come and running our media here, and it was about building something that's not been done before. And I think that's we are seeing a pop here in CoreWeave here. Did I miss some news here? Yeah, here we go. Here's the open, folks. We are open, and now the drop at CoreWeave. Yeah, it seems like the first move is always the wrong move, but now we're seeing a little bit of move here on the Qs on the upside here. I'm going to push us into the corner, Steve. But yeah, there we go. There's the move I was looking for. And so far, I mean, yeah, $88 now on CoreWeave. So I said that first move is not usually the smart move here.
Yep. This will be interesting to see if it sticks. The dollar is coming off here today. Uncertainty in the marketplace. I'd be surprised if we have an update today. I just feel that the sentiment is, beginning to ebb again into the negative territory.
And you might be right. I mean, the first move has usually been the wrong move lately. So the first move is to the upside. It could be wrong here, but the Qs are pushing. 607.29. Dow's only down 140 points. Nasdaq's only down 0.12%. The SPOOs are only down 7 points. So 87.82 now here on CoreWeave. So for those of you who stuck with me there on that, we made a good move here. 88.30 now here on CoreWeave. Wow. Okay.
I mean, the one kernel I'll pass on to viewers here is, in markets with uncertainty, which we're in, when you get in a good trade, take that money and run.
Steve, I don't really want it to, but I think you're absolutely right. I don't know, man. Corey's looking good, though.
You know, Steve, part of the, you know, you develop a trading style. If I get into a position with $2 and I get a nice pop, I always take one off and I'll hold on to one and trail a stop loss. I can never lose money on the trade.
That is true. So what he's saying is maybe putting a trailing stop in for us. I can do that. Never mind. I just put an order in to sell at 88.75 and it just got executed at 88.81. So,
Okay.
wow. There you go, Steve.
Look at that. Boy, there must be some news out or something, because that's
88.94. Now I'm still, now for those of you who don't know, I'm still long Corby. I was just doubling down because I knew that selling was a little stupid.
Yep.
You know, Corby now flat on the day, and you know, Hood pushing 88, 89.19 now. Oh my. Wow, okay.
You know, these are the machines. When you look at a pattern,
89.50 now. Wow.
Yep. You just watch that pattern. And, you know, Steve, what sort of time frame is this chart?
The one that I'm looking at for CoreWeave, CRWV, I just had it 89.20. Look at that sucker, folks. This is a 1 minute chart. Yeah. Right back to the numbers from yesterday. So that's probably what they were looking at.
Yep.
Buyers.
We call that a staircase. And when you see a staircase like that going up, you know it's a machine underneath of it.
That's right. That's exactly right. And yesterday, for those who don't know, I bought chain link on the dip yesterday, 88.95. So there we go. Okay, maybe I'm okay. Maybe this is what we're doing. All right. Wow, this is good. QQQ. Let's get back to it. I mean, the first move to us to the upside, and it's still holding to the upside. So the S&P now green, and the NASDAQ and now Dow just turned green. So, you know, look, this could be a positive day here, Steve. Could be, I don't know.
And there's that uncertainty, Steve, because you could read this tariff Supreme Court thing as that means inflation's coming down.
Yeah.
And that means he's only got 150 days on what he's just, you know, used by invoking the Section 122 of the Trade Act. You could say inflation's coming down, and now what's the Fed going to hold themselves on? Right? I mean, I heard Wallace say they're looking at the unemployment data. Hello, you missed that all last year.
Yeah. And while they're saying today, well, AI could affect it, it seems like they just really are missing the boat here. I don't really understand that part, part of it.
When I look at the Fed, I think of a nice analogy. Here we are in remember, high tech is in your financial markets. That's where it all gets unleashed. That's where it starts and then goes out to the broader market. You've got a Fed like an old timer, like me, walking into this high tech environment and kind of looking, going, wow. they're not partaking in it, and they're missing what this can bring to them is analytical tools that are second to none.
And they don't have to replace what they have. Just, I'm saying, I make it an addition. So it's an extra set of eyeballs on the market that they don't have.
Absolutely. Price transmission happens immediately upon a new data release. You don't need to look at your model that is looking back 5 years when all the ingredients have been sped up 100 times.
Yeah.
You know, so when they look at these forecasts, I say they chase inflation ghosts. You know, now they're saying, you know, clinging to that last CPI. But, you know, I look around the world and I'm like, Italy's CPI just came out today. It's 1% measured on a year, a full percentage point below the 2% goal. You know, Europe in general is running a 1.7% on their inflation. So is the United States saying we will be excluded from all the data that's prevalent throughout the world showing inflation hitting and going below?
All right. So Trump now says any country that wants to play games with the ridiculous Supreme Court decision, especially those that are ripped off the USA for years and even decades, will be met with a much higher tariff and worse than that which they just recently agreed to buyer beware. Thank you for attention to this matter, Donald Trump.
I'm worried about
what does
tomorrow.
he mean by that?
I'm worried about tomorrow, Steve. If he gets bitter, and you know, what he's got to do is accept that the law of the land was upheld by the Supreme Court. Now, look, I'm in favor of tariffs. I want to be very clear. I think the Supreme Court botched it. Yeah, I think the Supreme Court botched it, but I respect the decision. I respect the law. And guess what? If you want to invoke tariffs, then use the Section 1974 Trade Act, which allows him to go a maximum 15% for 150 days if there is an existing trade deficit. So,
but why put tariffs on? What is the consideration? What does that make tariffs to him so exciting? Why does he's weaponizing it, Steve?
Yes, he is, but he wants to weaponize it to get the negotiation and a trade deal in place, which in the medium to longer term addresses the long-running deficit we have. So that's all it is, Steve. It's a leverage point. It cannot be, and I agree 100% with you, it cannot be a long-dated process of we're always going to have tariffs against you.
Steve, I'm going to get real quick on this. CoreWeave here has popped, and for those of you who paid attention this morning with me, you crushing it right now. 91.61 now, and I am taking all of my CoreWeave off. This was a nice run, up 5% today. I gotta take it off. I'm done with CoreWeave today, Mr. Flanagan.
Well, that's 8 minutes into trading, and what an incredible 8-minute return that is.
Yeah.
I
think I got it to be a professional. 91.90 now. And there was no news on it. I think it was just basically getting beaten up so much. And I get it, the blue owl had a little bit of noise there, but to me, if you look at I'll pull it up for everybody so they can understand what exactly it is that I'm seeing. Okay, I know that my screens are crazy, and I can show a lot of what I'm doing, but you can see where the buyers and the sellers were to me. And as most of you know, I picked up a lot. This is the daily chart. I like this move here. Oh, 91.59 now. And I thought that we'd get back to 92, 93, and we're already there. So 91.61. If you look at a 1 hour chart, which is what I was paying attention to, you're now seeing what I'm seeing. You can see that buyers were stepping in. I told you this last week on Friday that I like this selling here. Thank you very much. And I was buying, and in linear regression, I'm putting a little bit, but the 1 hour, if I put the 3 hour chart, why? Because it's what Wall Street loves, right? There's your numbers, and it was dead right, and I like the buyers here. So I'm now out of it. Yep, there you go. 91.98 was the high of the day. 91.40 now. 91.38. So there's some selling. But congratulations if you were with me on that. Again, we don't tell you what the buyers sell, but we do say between the two of us sitting right here right now, we have about 75 years of knowledge in front of you. 91.23. So that was probably the sell piece right there. Could go on higher, but this is a 1 minute chart. I like this. I took that money and ran. You can see also on the 1 minute chart, you can see that there was a buildup. This morning I saw this right before the market opened. I told you there's some buyers coming in. Why? I wasn't sure. There's that pop, and I like that, and they played right into it. Now you can see the sellers are now popping back in because that's where the sellers are. And look at that, right back down 90.68. So congrats to those of you who are paying attention to me. That's why I do use charts and combine that with the knowledge. It's not just all charting, it's not all news, it's every bit of it. That's what happens. So there we go.
Steve, if you were to plug this data in that you're using into your AI model, you could create your own AI model. Now, the advantage of doing that, and it is being done, okay? The advantage of doing that is you could look at every single stock in the marketplace for just the exact ingredients that you came up with here. Now, the world of the future in Gen AI is
248 popped again.
Do we allow a machine to automate that without the human hitting the button saying, here's the suggestion that generative AI gives you. The human says, I like it, and hits the button, says, execute strategy.
Yeah.
Or do we allow the next level for the computer to make that trade in an autonomous manner? Oh boy, is that going to unleash a lot of risk in the world?
Bitcoin slipping again here. We're seeing now 65.5 again, as that was the point where they were buying it yesterday. Look, there's just a lot of nonsense going on here in Bitcoin, and I don't. It's a risk on, risk off asset. There's the buyers again. I like that. I didn't buy Bitcoin. I bought Link at yesterday at 820 or 843. So there's a nice little move there. I think this Bitcoin's nonsense here. I think they're testing that selling again, and it'll go right back up to 66 here really quickly. Wow, that was yeah, it did. Look at that. It's already bouncing off already. Look at that bounce. The sellers were dumb. I think that was dumb, but they're testing that. You can see where my lines are down there, and it right to my lines. Look at that. Look at that, right to my lines. Look at that on a 1 minute chart. There you go.
Whenever I look at markets like you, Steve, you just went from equities to crypto. I always then bring the dollar in and go, what's going on in the dollar? Is the dollar telling me that these moves are real or right? The dollar virtually unchanged since the market opened here from where it came in. So what's happening is specific to the financial instrument that you are looking at right now. And it is not a broader type move. I kind of think today would end up negative just because the tariff uncertainty has brought uncertainty, and markets hate that in trading. And, tomorrow is going to be a big day because he gets on the stage. And if he looks bitter, instead of touting successes of GDP growth and things like that, this is not a good picture here.
Yeah, I agree. And we need a president to act presidential. I mean, I don't. It bothers me that he's not acting presidential. He is the president. Act it, right? That's my concern. Whether you like him or not doesn't matter. Now he's got a 34% approval rating now. Like, this is getting worse and worse, right? This is not a president that it's like everything's against him. It's not easy being president. I can tell you. I've been there. I know what the White House is like. It's not easy,
I don't look at polls, Steve, because they are so skewed. I just read something over the weekend about Gallup releasing in their polls. They now say 27% of people say they're Republicans, 27% say they're Democrats, and a whopping 45% of people now claim independent in their voting.
You know what was interesting when I'm voting yesterday or Saturday, and during the summer of this year, every boat had a Trump flag in Florida, and I didn't see a single one on the water yesterday. Not one. That changed.
That's huge, Steve. He's got to deliver the message. If he truly is a people person, which, I believe is his strength, stay away from the Supreme Court decision, pivot to what you're trying to do for Americans. And look, there's no question that the globalist type of environment, I mean, just the facts of the last 40 years, it has not necessarily benefited the middle class of America.
I agree with that.
It has hollowed out this income disparity in the world. I'm
buying Palantir right here, PLTR on this dip here at 127. Looks like I got 127.50 on this dip, so we'll see if I'm right. Bought Palantir, PLTR. I know that Michael Burry is short Palantir. I understand that, and he'll have to cover at some point. I don't. But 127.50 is where I just got in. 127.95 now. So
don't they have earnings coming soon?
Yeah, and I think they'll do pretty well, actually.
Yeah, at this present price, the Michael Burry of the world, the man is a negative procrastinator or whatever they call, but he loves his negatives out there. I'm on the other side of the boat. I'm trying to get through all the negatives, which are all over the place right now. I think that the positives in April, and I'll point out, why did I say April 15th? I want to be out of any short position I have. Right now, I have a very large volatility play.
Okay, you want to explain that? People are selling to pay for. Okay, so go explain that to people out there right now, Steve. What you mean by that?
The negatives will prevail throughout March. That's the way I would see it. But come in April, well, I would actually say the negatives will prevail for the next 2 weeks. And then you're going to go into a waffling period. And then April starts the move and everything is beginning to come to fruition. And I'll base it on here. March 18th, the Fed meets. March 19th, ECB meets. March 19th, the Bank of England meets. March 17th, Reserve Bank of Australia meets. Bank of Japan on the 19th. Swiss National Bank on the 19th could go negative interest rates again. Bank of Canada on the 18th. Once you get to March 20th, every central bank in the world will have made decisions. I believe you could see rate reductions because growth rates in the world are anemic levels. You've got the Eurozone saying 1.4 to 1.6% for the next 2 years. That's just unacceptable to the populace. The United States is talking over 4%. Okay, but now you're going to get the Fed coming in talking about, can you have growth without inflation? Yes. So I do believe that once we get to March 20th, a very positive picture will be embedded and the negatives will begin to thaw out and melt away. And by April 1st, I think we're off to the races.
I also think that people could be selling to some stock to pay for some of the wins they've also had. To tax selling could happen too as well. But is this beware the Ides of March? Because I think that's a new freaking post I'm going to have to make. Are they beware the Ides of March?
Steve, I think that could be exactly where I'm worried right now, short term, 2 weeks, that in March, well, no, 3 weeks, because we're not in March, that the negatives are going to hit their pinnacle.
Anybody go with me on Palantir on that? Look at that pop, $2 already, 129.72. That's what we meant. See, the buyers are coming in there. These are these numbers that I like, and this is a 1 minute chart. I love this Palantir pop here. This was good, 129.74. Could get back up there to about 130ish, and I think that's a nice pop. I will keep this one a couple of days. This one could be where we think that Burry might be wanting to get out of it. I don't know. He might not. I don't really care. I think he's wrong on this one, but he's usually. By the way, folks, yes, Michael Burry got one big one right in 08, but he's mostly been wrong, to be honest with you.
And he's always negative.
It's always negative, yeah.
Steve, on the desk, we would say that you've got svelte gloves, SVELT, because you've got a beautiful soft touch to this.
Look at that. 130 was right where it was about what I thought we would go to, and there it is, 129.80. I think we go higher, a little bit higher, because we got a soft pocket right here, so we could pop a little bit. Could get all the way up to 132. Actually, I do like this. Let's do it. 3 hour chart. Why? That's what Wall Street uses. Let's get to it. Yeah, I think you saw this. Look at my numbers are right there. You can see where my points are, where the buyers and sellers are. And you're already seeing that now. So, 130, 133, somewhere in that range where resistance became support, and then support became resistance. And then again, the resistance up here at 141. So we might have a really good long-term buy here. 130, there it is, 130.04 now on the 05. Wow, 06, here we go.
Boy,
boom.
Right out of the gates. Look at that marching higher.
3 for 3 today already. On a negative day, Steve, Dow's down 256 right now.
I don't know how you do it, but boy, that's a nice pickup. And I'm telling you, you got to model this, Steve.
The president is a petty person, according to Zora. Yeah, look, yes, he is. But here's what I always say. You got to play the game in front of us. We know that he is, so we have to understand that. That's great. I'm not being hard on the president or negative on the president. I have to play the game the way that it is. Steve Luxing, I'm not. I'm kind of, I'm in the middle. I mean, I like some of his policies. I don't like the way that he handles immigration, because I think immigration is very important in this country. We need immigrants. We don't need bad immigrants. We need good immigrants, smart immigrants, and I like that. It's how the country became to this country. You can't throw the baby out of the bathwater, and I think that's what's happened here. And I think you learned that in Minnesota very quickly. But some of these policies were a little bit over the top, and I think he felt like he won, so he has to put these in place. I'm okay with that if that's how he felt. So, Steve, you like the policies. I just think it doesn't need to be a sledgehammer or not a sledgehammer. I think it needs to be more couth about it. But his way of, shall we say, the art of the deal is to get really nasty and mean and then pull back, right? We know that. So now you know what the deal is. So play as I would say, play the game in front of you.
Look, there's a new video circulating with Jesse Jackson, and God rest his soul, and Trump from the early 90s, when the Rainbow Coalition,
they were friends.
Trump and him were best of buddies. But I listened to Jesse speak about Trump, and I listened to then Trump speak about Jesse Jackson. He gave him a free place at 40 Wall Street in his building to operate. And when I heard Trump talk, even the little offhanded jokes he made, absolutely no different than the man today. Just the same offhanded jokes. Jesse Jackson talked about the wealth being up at the top and not filtering down. And Trump started off by saying, "Hey, Jesse, what's wrong with that?"
Well, here's what's interesting. For me, when I keep hearing trickle-down economics, voodoo economics, as we heard in the Bush years, it didn't work then, doesn't work now. It's not working again. Look, there's always going to be rich people. People need to understand that, right? You don't put them on a pedestal and say how great they are because they made a bunch of money. That was what they wanted to do. Well, they had to trade things in to make that, by the way. They didn't get lucky unless they were born into it like Trump. But when you look at, the middle class, this is the smallest middle class in history, Steve. Things you just said earlier, right? That's a problem in this country. This country was built on the middle class and the ability for immigrants to get to the middle class. We cannot change that yellow brick road for them.
That's correct, Stephen. That is exactly the crux of the issue, is that the middle class has been completely hollowed out. So therefore, to escape poverty is even more difficult to get up into a middle class. And I believe this is what Trump wants to address. And I think that's his whole trade policy, because he's looking at $1 trillion a year in our deficit that just goes out of our country.
But he was going to beat that up and he's going to take it down. And now it's the biggest in history now.
Yeah. So I don't know. He's got to pivot, but he's got to identify that this is, in fact, what his policies are meant to do, because he's allowing the narrative to go the other way.
I have TDS fatigue. I don't know what does TDS fatigue mean. Trump fatigue. If it were any other president, there would not be this degree of pushback. I think he's right. I think if he just would STFU, and do his job. I think Doc Spector's right.
Yeah, and you have to understand, where did TDS come from? He was sitting at the table with them all, and basically got up out of the, in the early, 2012, 13 year, and got up and said, "I don't like it anymore." And he went to the other side, and that has ticked off everybody who's at that table.
And most will know this, but Trump was a Democrat for most of his life.
That's what I'm saying.
Reagan was a Democrat for most of his life. Right?
What other president has got Tulsi Gabbard, Democrat?
Democrat.
Kennedy, Democrat. Trump, Democrat. What other, president has had a mix like that? that's why I scratch my head going, why can't you deliver that narrative, that message to the populace? You're allowing the other side to just overwhelm and dictate. And I agree, PDS fatigue.
Is it him or is it his staff? Is he in a so I mean, I can tell you right now, when you're inside of the Beltway and you have people around you all the time, that becomes a problem, right? Oh, it just yes to whatever he thinks and whatever he says, right? The first administration, he was starting to get things done, and he didn't have that soundboard yet. But yes, he fired almost everybody. This is the first administration where he hasn't fired everybody every second, right? So I'm beginning to wonder if he's just doing his own thing right now.
I think his mouth is probably, getting him in trouble. He's, as you said earlier, tomorrow night, let's see the politician. Let's see, okay, Supreme Court ruled, we'll take a new track. Got it. The law of the land, because that's what everybody's saying.
Hey, and they're going to sit in the front row. You think he'll say anything to them? They're literally going to have to sit in the front row, quietly, no smile. No, it's almost amazing how quiet the Supreme Court is during any State of the Union, not just this one. It might be a very interesting State of the Union, Steve.
I think it is, Steve, and I think it's going to define him. I really do, because if he goes, if he lets his emotions get the best of him, it's as an investor in the marketplace, I'm going to be very worried.
Gold pushing higher here. We're also seeing WTI now, West Texas Intermediate now $67 a barrel. Oil is pushing up here. You think we go bomb Tehran?
I hope not.
Yeah, me too.
I hope that we can find a diplomatic solution because he needs one. And I also worry about Iran and their two allies of China and Russia. Iran is not going to be, it would be a pushover. Yeah. We'd probably wipe out the entire Iranian military capability in 2 to 3 days.
We're just now hearing reports that the EU is not going to ratify the trade deal with the United States.
See, that's going to generate a response now from him.
Yeah.
And that puts back uncertainty. And, I think that's not a good signal right now. Not a good signal.
I agree with that. I think you're right on that one. That one's a little concerning here. But I'm not too worried about it right now. I think let's see it play out. Let's see how things work.
Yep.
We're seeing gold popping here. Tick now down 300 here on that. Was down about 600. It's coming back up a little bit here. Bitcoin back to 66,000. We talked about that this morning. That look, you've got some great dip buying opportunities in some of this stuff, and I've been taking advantage of that. But tick now down 400 again here. Dow now down 400 points. It's now slipping here now. We're watching the Qs here as well. Qs are now slipping 604.51. Probably get back down.
That comment, Steve, is a big negative, and that goes into all these models right now. And look at it. Boom. As soon as they see that headline, everything's starting to sell. Yeah.
The confusion of trade and the EU Parliament now Dow down now 405 points now. So that was a negative. Look, they need to send Witkoff over there and do some trade deals. It's got to get done fast because having trade deals with EU is a big deal.
That's a big deal, and I understand India is delayed.
Factory orders number month over month coming in at minus 0.7%. Previous there was up 2.7%. Estimate there was minus 0.7%. So it's in line. Factory orders now month over month coming in at minus 0.7%. That's in line for the thought process where we thought we were coming to. Steve, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. Your thought process to the rest of the day, my man.
I'm a little concerned, Steve. I think we're probably going to waffle and trade to the downside. Remember, the machines, they don't get affected by the snow. So, what gets put in motion stays in motion today.
A little bit of a pop there. The QQQ. So maybe we go right back up. Maybe the news is hit and we're done with the news now.
Could very likely, Steve. Buy the dip, sell the rip. That could be the mentality all day. You know, you could end up with a down day, mildly down, and, you know, sideways for the rest of trading.
Yeah, but the advanced decline line is still minus 1900, so could be a little bit negative sentiment. Minus 400 now on the tick. Went up, got positive there, but I think the factory orders were not too bad, actually. I think, you know, X-Trans was up 0.4%, so transportation was a little bit of a problem. We can quickly look at FedEx real fast. We'll let you guys go. FedEx, yeah, down 0.55%. Nice little move there this morning, though, to 321 to 36.
With earnings on Wednesday, NVIDIA could be the, you know, the bellwether for the week.
Everybody needs NVIDIA cards. I can't wait to buy a chip, and it's expensive as hell. So I totally agree with you. The margins are outrageous for NVIDIA chipsets right now.
Right. That could
See,
be
9141 now on CoreWeave, and Palantir now 130.27 now. Near, I think the highs. I think it's high of the day, isn't it? The Palantir there. Palantir now sitting at 132.25 was the high there, but we definitely bought the low there. All right, Steve. Wow, thanks for everybody watching, and look at the numbers coming in for us today. Another good day here at Quasar Markets as we move forward, and we'll have another media day very shortly. We're working on some really other cool days here too as well as we move forward on the media side. For all of us here at Quasar Markets, and of course Steve Flanagan, my friend, we'll see you right back here the next time.